These are two baby blue fantail pigeons. When I found them in the evening, there was no parent with them and only one of them had been fed. Although fantails love bathing, when they get their feathers wet, they need to dry before they can fly again. We'd had heavy rain all day and I'd brought these two youngsters in earlier. They'd been using their tails as umbrellas. You can see why in French they're known as peacock pigeons. The mother pigeon feeds her baby by allowing it to put its beak inside her beak and then she regurgitates food. As I didn't quite fancy doing that, I decided to do this instead. In an emergency, even a quite small baby pigeon will be able to drink from an egg cup. I always keep the baby pigeon higher than the egg cup. In that way, the pigeon is sucking up the liquid rather than having it go into its beak. As it's very hungry, you'll need to keep taking it away from the egg cup so that it will come up for air long enough to breathe. The baby pigeon and you get very wet doing all this, so it's a good idea to be sitting in front of a fire. I tried to keep cleaning him up as we went along, but his mother made a much better job of it when I took him back. The next stage is to try and get some more solid food into him. So I took the mix out of the egg cup, drained it, and then making a sort of beak shape with my hand, tried to let him feed. The mix I use, by the way, is one that I used for my larger pigeons in my other video, and that is sunflower seeds, sesame seeds. They're ground up in a pestle and mortar, and I add some bread to it and then water. And as with all animals and humans fed on this small holding, all the ingredients are organic. I did experiment by making the mixture drier and feeding it in a torpedo shape, which I thought might be a bit less messy. But I don't think it was a success because the bread was very glutinous, and even though I dipped the torpedo into water, I think he found it more difficult to eat it. And in fact, he got just as messy. And the intent is for the food to go into the pigeon and not all over him. But finally, after a little bit more experimentation with the consistency of the food, we finally got everything to work and we got a good rhythm going. And he got a lot of food inside him, which was the object. I'd already found the mother pigeon. She'd been waiting patiently for me at the bottom of the dovecot, and I'd put her back on the other baby to keep him warm while I fed this one. Because this baby had started to get cold, he wouldn't have indicated to her that he wanted feeding, hence I'd have to bring him in. The next morning I went out to check that all was well. There they both were, ready for their breakfast. Even though I feed my pigeons a certain amount of organic grain, they do a lot of foraging. Here he is. I just brought him out this evening so you could see that he's looking good.